that both the scientist and the poet marvel. The working of the human eye alone is enough to make us dizzy with wonder. In a flash, it can focus on an image and transfer it to the brain so quickly that we can recognize the face of an old friend in an instant. Why do we have bodies? Why did God make us with bodies? Our bodies are the primary receptacles for the life of God. Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, which you have from God, and that you are not your own? And that's from 1 Corinthians 6:19. The spiritual life and the bodily life are not opposite to each other, and in fact, they are inseparable. And with that thought, we have how we care for our bodies by treating them well, eating healthy food, exercising, getting plenty of rest. And our bodies are to be respected and monitorized and despised. If we take proper care of them, they will reward us with energy. And vitally, they will allow us to experience more and more of this grandeur of life. They will enable us to extend the power of God to others. And my friends, we want this wonderful message of how the plant-based diet have wonderful miracles. This is God's food, that He changes you and each and everybody. So let God help you change one by one each day. I know it's a struggle, but once He revealed and unplugged that little blind spot from your eye, you will be able to see and jump for joy. So let us pray. Dear Father, we are marveled of how you created us, each and every way, how we provide friends and family that we can also influence by how you reflect us, just like the flower, and that you give radiant sunshine to. And may you bless us with your wonderful, wonderful plant of creation, the G-bombs, the wonderful fruits and berries and grains, and wonderful food that you provide for us. May that be like medicine to our soul, and that you continue to work in us in every way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Miss Mary. I just want to remind you that we have few more envelopes on that table, and those of you who did not get to take your envelopes, and those envelopes contain your lab results and other important papers. So please pick up those envelopes if you haven't picked them up last week. And it's so nice to look at every one of you. And among us, we have a special guest, Pastor Mani Victor. He's the pastor of the Filipino church. Welcome to our seminar. Yeah, if you remember, we started the Jumpstart last week. So it has been, this has been the 6th day, right? 6th day, and then among my friends, quite a few of my friends say that they feel good, feel energetic, and then feel happy, feel light. In fact, some of them even make comments that they could wear the old clothes that they couldn't wear before. And this is, you can see that if we are really motivated, if we really follow the program, right now you still have to look at the babies. I myself, I still have to look, which are the things like corns. I cannot eat corns on the first 3 days, so I still have to look. But eventually, once you memorize those formula, then you will just kind of remember those things like that. So when you look at those things and just be happy. Well, I always say when I lost weight, usually I couldn't lose very much, maybe just 2-3 pounds. But for me, I'm happy with those 2-3 pounds. But remember, when I lost weight, it is not a must, right? It is just a bonus. So, but you just feel healthy, you just feel good, and you happen to lose weight, so you just feel good about it. So don't aim at the weight loss, like, because it is not our aim, but so it is just a bonus. So congratulations for those people who really went through the program, and then you feel good this week. And Dr. Diehl will mention some more about that. And Dr. Diehl, I think that's all the announcement that I have, and it is a pleasure for you to be here again. And you can see with all some old friends, some new friends, and then some visitors, and we'll welcome everyone. Dr. Diehl, let's give him a big hand.
It's good to see you all here. You will notice that I have been wearing a new outfit. My wife said to me, you've been wearing this the last 2 times. People will get the idea that they have to get an offering going because maybe we only have one outfit to wear. So I just wanted to make you feel relaxed. I also wanted to mention to you that in general, in this program here, we want to make sure that if you have personal questions about your health and your medications, that is something you should address with your personal physician, because he or she will know best what to do in your particular case. We provide you with educational information that when you apply it, it will have a very consistent effect, because we have seen over 110,000 patients, participants in our CHIP program. That's what we used to call it. Now we're calling it the U-Turn program. I want to introduce you to an unlikely hero, an unlikely success person. He was born in Brooklyn. He was born into a family of poverty. The father was an alcoholic, the mother was raising 6 children and working 2 jobs with a grade 3 education, cleaning houses. That was his background. That's the family he grew up in. Didn't have a chance. Or did he? He was a very, very poor student until he got into college. And then they finally recognized that this man, this young man, was actually suffering from dyslexia, which makes it very difficult to learn. And once it was diagnosed, from that moment on, he knew how to apply himself, and he made the dean's list again and again and again and again. And he graduated way up in top of his class. He then joined the police force of New York, and while he was working there for several years, his ambitions became growing. And he began to talk to some person that was visiting the police force, talking about how to set goals in life. And he went to this man and he said, I'd like to be president of the United States someday, sir. What do I have to do? Well, he said, number 1, you have to be the very best policeman. You have to become a captain. You have to run up the ranks. You have to be successful, and then once you've done this, then you should perhaps consider running for managing and being the president of the Brooklyn borough. Okay. So he took this to heart, and he became involved politically in the Brooklyn area, and before too long, after 20 years as a captain now in the police force, after 20 years, he ran for office and he became the president of the borough of Brooklyn in New York. He did very, very well. And he went back to this consultant. He said, listen, sir, what is the next step that I have to manage? And he said, sir, what you need to do is, you've done very well as a policeman. You came up the ranks, up to a captain, and now you are the president of the borough. The next step for you is to become the president, no, to become first the mayor of New York City, largest city in America. Yes, sir. Well, let me introduce this man to you. His name is Eric Adams.
This is the most comprehensive expansion of lifestyle medicine in the nation. In the nation. New York is going to change the conversation about using food not to feed healthcare crises, but to stop the crises, and in some cases, like my case, to reverse some of the chronic diseases that historically we said was not possible. Living with chronic diseases. And we need to be clear on something. A chronic disease does not only impact the individual who has the chronic disease, it impacts the entire family. And everyone in this room knows someone who's going through a chronic disease if they are not going through the chronic disease themselves. That is what we must understand. A chronic disease hijacks your life, and it hijacks the life of your entire family. And that is why this is a significant moment on what we are doing. And those who are going through the chronic diseases, and what type of diseases we're talking about? We're talking about heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, pre-diabetes, and all the other health concerns that's associated with obesity. We have a healthcare crisis that's not sustainable. And to be bold enough as a city and a hospital system to say we are going to do something differently is really commendable. And I just thank the entire team. This expansion is about helping patients make healthier lifestyle changes, including plant-based diet, physical activity, improved sleeping habits, and stress reduction. All the things that we must incorporate into our lives so that we can deal with the stress of being in a stressful environment. I'm living a healthier lifestyle, and I'm encouraging New Yorkers to have as many plant-based meals as possible because the science is clear. The more you eat plants, the more you eat fruits, the more you have a healthy lifestyle away from over-processed food, the healthier you are going to be. I know how I feel every day, and I want you to feel the same way every day. And so those who have questions on what I am eating, I'm over 18, and I know how to take care of myself. And if you haven't noticed, look at the pictures of yesteryears and then look at the pictures now. I wear my suits so much better than I did 8 years ago. And if you like it or not, you have to say, yes, you do. If I would have followed the path that I was given, I would not be standing here. I was going blind. They said there's nothing they could do for you, Eric. You're going to be blind in a year. That tingling that I ignored, they said you have permanent nerve damage. You're going to lose some fingers and toes. I was going to have to take insulin every day. I was taking medication. They gave me medication for my high blood pressure, medication for my cholesterol problem, several medications for my diabetes. I had an ulcer. They gave me medication for my ulcer. They said, Eric, this is permanent. Add those dollars. This is not sustainable. And so when you look at the fact I did not have to buy that metformin, the insulin, the high blood pressure, the statin. I don't have to get all of those things. So it's not how much it costs for this program, how much it's going to cost us if we don't have this program. And those are just the dollar amounts. The traumatization of my family members. I remember my son when he heard what happened. He says, Dad, you have a BMW. You put the best gas in your car. You didn't put the best food in your body. It's costly not to do this. And so we're going to come up with whatever the numbers are, but we're going to meet those darn numbers because our healthcare system is not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. And I'm not going to allow this to continue in my 4 years in office. I eat a plant-based centered life. Some people want to call me vegan. Vegans eat Oreos and they drink Coca-Cola. I don't. I eat a plant-based centered life. And I'm not going down this rabbit hole of what do you eat? If you eat cake and it has eggs in it, that you analyze it. I'm not doing that. The more plant-based you eat, the better and healthier you are. That is my question to those who are following me around in restaurants, wondering what I'm ordering. Listen, I'm not doing that. That's noise to me. I got to get New Yorkers to eat a plant-based centered life. And if that's not an answer that people accept, then it's cool with me.
1 million children now on Mondays will have a meatless Monday. And on Friday they have a vegan Friday. And he said, if you want to have some meat, we'll make it available to you on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays. Not that we recommend it, but I cannot just dictate everything all at once. But I am not going to feed the children a diet that is making them unhealthy and sick. And I have to pay the bill as a mayor of New York. Make sense? So this man was an unlikely success story. Scheduled for amputation of his toes, severe diabetic, looking into the possibility of going blind on one eye within the next 12 months. I featured him at a rather special television program for a worldwide audience, and the results were absolutely electrifying. Because people wanted to know, what did this man do and how did he do it and how can we do this? And that's why you have now the U-Turn program right here. I hope you realize that this man would have gone down the tubes if it would have not been for people like Dr. Dean Ornish, or Dr. Esselstyn from the Cleveland Clinic, or Dr. Furman, or Dr. McDougall, 4 physicians who are also nutritionally oriented, a rarity in medicine today. If it would have not been for these 4 people that he began to consult, and he said, sir, you can turn this thing around if you're willing. He said, yes. He put a treadmill in his office, every day, 1 hour on the treadmill. The mayor, a new man. So this is pretty exciting, isn't it? So I want to show you something, since I mentioned Dr. McDougall. If you don't know him, he is one of the best known nutritionally oriented physicians in America. Take a look. Ready? Yeah. I'm just trying to create some suspense.
Dr. John McDougall and Dr. Hans Diehl are with us talking about reversing heart disease by eating the right foods. So can you give us some examples of how this has worked? You have a special program for this.
We have 50,000 stories.
50,000 stories.
We have 50,000 graduates of the CHIP program. Now this is not potato chips or
no. Tell us what is the CHIP program?
It's a community-based program where people come for 40 hours of education. And we help them to understand the science of why we perhaps should make some wiser choices. And then we show them how to do it. And so as they come to us in groups of 50 people or 500 people, they begin to interact among themselves. There's a magic of working with other people. You're not the only one that is making changes. And
that's big, isn't it?
It is.
Because you feel like you're kind of the Lone Ranger. You're the only one over here eating your potato when somebody else is, you know.
Yeah, but it's also an accountability structure.
Yeah.
So if somebody's inspired, how do they find out about a CHIP program?
Well, they can go on a website. They can find it right there. There are CHIP chapters all over the country. They can sign up and they can join the program. It's run in churches, it's run in hospitals, it's run in corporations.
Community centers.
So you should spread this far and wide in order to get as many people involved with the CHIP program as possible.
And I've been involved a little bit with these CHIP programs, and they do exactly what needs to be done. They take people who are struggling with disease, or they want to prevent disease and are hooked on the American diet, don't know anything different.
Sure.
And they teach them, they give them community, they give them support, they give them success. I mean, and for almost no money at all. It's just an amazing program. And Hans and I have been together for probably 25 years, and I've seen his work. And I would have to say he's done more, and this is not an exaggeration, he's done more to help people from around the world in a practical manner than anybody I know through these CHIP programs.
That's exciting.
Did you get that right? Can you say that again?
Hans Diehl, Dr. Hans Diehl has done more to help the average man and woman in this country. Over 25 years of work, just getting in their faces, getting in their homes, and tell them that they don't have to be sick, and then showing them how to do it through the CHIP programs. Everybody needs to be involved in these.
In a program that has an international good ring. Okay. Now, I talked to New York. I want to talk to you about Los Angeles, just in case you think this only happens to high-placed politicians who can put a treadmill in their offices and they can hire the food that's being served to them. I want you to meet a gentleman that came into our program about 8 months ago in Hawaiian Gardens in the Orange County area, where we had this kind of a program. And I want you to meet, his name is All School. Come join us, All School. Is that your real name?
No, it isn't. But it's the name that the majority of the world knows me as. I was born Ronald Philip Edwards. Come on. Ronald?
Do we have a second microphone? Do we have a second microphone?
Give it the mic. Give it the mic. Give it to him.
Testing. Is that the one with the sexy voice? Okay. So this is Old School. Old School, tell us, you came all the way from LA today. You drove here to 70 miles to share with my friends here in the new program here that we have. And what brought you to the program in Hawaiian Gardens in Orange County?
Well, in August of 2021, I was fooling around with this cute little app called MyChart. They program all of your medical history on there. And I was just fooling around one day, and it's got green, yellow, and green spot to let you know if you're in the norm or if you're out of the norm. And I happened to notice this thing called PSA. And ladies and gentlemen, I got no idea what PSA stands for. But it went from 3.0 to 6.46. So I asked my doctor, I said, hey, doc, I was just checking this out. What is that? Immediately, he scheduled me for a urologist appointment. I didn't know who a urologist was. So I go down and I get tested. He tells me that I need a biopsy. I go in for the biopsy, come back 2 weeks later, and he gives me the dreadful word. He says, school. He said, you got prostate cancer. I said, what? Come on, doc, you kidding me? He said, no, you got prostate cancer. First thing I did was ran out and called my brother who lives in Georgia. I said, Joe, I said, man, you got to get your prostate checked. You got to, and I called my cousin. He said, Dad, he said, Ron, I've already got cancer. What? Then I called 3 of my cousins. They had it. Then when I went to visit my brother in November, we were sitting around looking at some old photos, and I found my dad's my dad's birth certificate. I thought he had died of bone cancer. He died of prostate cancer.
So let me interrupt here. So obviously it's a genetic problem, right? It runs in families, right? Father, cousins, brothers. Is it genetics? What is it? Because your family members also probably had a very similar diet among themselves, right? So we have learned that prostate cancer, while it can be promoted by certain genes that are related to cancer causing, we also know now that these genes are probably only related to about 3% of all the cancers that we have. The other 97% relates to how people have been growing up, or they have lived, and the culture has been pushing this on us. So that was bad news. What did you do then?
They gave me several options. All were, I could do surgery, chemotherapy, or radiation. I said, man, and I started hearing some of the side effects from that, wearing diapers and stuff like this. Oh no, losing your virility, as a man. Is he wrecked up? No.
Getting back on diapers?
Yeah. No. I already graduated from that. So what I'm contemplating my decision. So I told Doc, I said, Doc, I said, I'm gonna need time to think about this. So this happened in August. So about 6 months later, I'm at the church in Hawaiian Gardens, and I'm going to pick up my program and my offering envelope, and there's a little flyer sitting there, and it says, reversing chronic diseases. I had no idea what that was about.
Let me interrupt you for a minute. How did you get acquainted with the Adventist church in Hawaiian Gardens? How did that happen? Are you an Adventist?
No.
No. So how did you get acquainted with this
appetite? On a regular basis, I ate at the community center in Lawndale, California. They had a lunch there for $2.25. I'm a big eater. I know it doesn't look like it. I'm an avid eater. And so one of the girls, they said, hey, Scoot, he said, look, he said, my church is having a barbecue. She said, we know how you like to eat. She said, and it's free. Now, that's my favorite four-letter word. Free is my favorite four-letter word. So I showed up. And they said meatless hot dogs and hamburgers. This was back in 2015. I'd never heard anything like that. So anyway, I had such a great time. The people were so loving and so caring and so thoughtful and considerate. I went and I looked at the marquee and I said, oh man, I said, I'm coming back. I'm gonna come back. These people are so, I'm coming back. So I came back the following Sunday. No, Sunday. No, I came back the following Sunday. And I was the only one here. Sammy, what's going on here? So I go back out and I look at the marquee, because it never said the day of the week, it just had the date. I looked at my phone and I said, man, that's Saturday. And that's how it came about. And then our church, I moved from following the pastor. The pastor came and he asked me something. He said, School, he said, hey, have you ever thought about attending here? I said, Pastor, come on, man. They were all Samoans. They were huge. No, man, you can find more loving people. So I said, man, look at me. I don't look like any of you. I don't dress like any of you. I don't talk like any of you. I said, man, I'm a misfit here. And he turned and looked at me and said, so was Jesus. I'd never heard it. Man, that's the biggest compliment I've ever received in my life. So I followed him when we went to the new church in Carson. Carson merged with Haven, and that's how I got to Haven.
So that's how you came to the Hawaiian Gardens Church. Yes. And that's where you found that little note. It talked about reversing prostate cancer.
Oh, it said reversing chronic diseases. I had no idea what that meant. I didn't know prostate cancer was a chronic disease. You feeling me? But anyway, when I went out to put my offering envelope and program in the truck, I took a moment. That was after the end of the service, just before lunch. So I read the brochure real quick. One of the items on the brochure said, reversing prostate cancer. I said, are you kidding me? I said, come on, I'm with that. So I ran in and grabbed the pastor. Pastor, I want to sign up for this. He said, School is not for another 2 weeks. I said, I don't care. I need to make sure that I'm in that program. And so 2 weeks later, we signed up, and this was back at the end of May of last year. So now I'm still contemplating my prostate thing. Remember that happened in August of 2021. This is now May of 2022. So I'm going down the line and I'm saying, well, I meet this gentleman here in the program, and I got involved, and my wife, she said, Dad, she said, she gets so angry with me. She said, you always overdo everything. You always do overkill. I say, Mom, if there's a possibility of me beating this thing without surgery, radiation, or chemotherapy, I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna give it my best shot. I'm not gonna fall short because of something I didn't do. So, matter of fact, you guys talk about that jump start. That happened for me 9 months ago. I'm still on jump start. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You feel it? Yeah. So anyway, to cut a long story short, I was rescheduled to have my second go back in and give the urologist my
Biopsy.
What I wanted to do about the biopsy. And we finally decided we needed to take another one. So I took another one in November. And I came back 2 weeks later, and the results, I went in to meet him, and I'm kind of hesitant. And he told me, he said, school. So now I got no explanation for this. He said, but no cancer was detected. He said there was no cancer detected. And then when I went to see my cardiologist, she was amazed. She said, School, what are you doing? I went to see my ophthalmologist. He said, I got no explanation for your vision improvement. I went to see my regular doctor, my physician. He was so excited. He said, ma'am, he said your A1C, he said, and your cholesterol have plummeted. He took me off all of the medications.
So remember, he was a diabetic, right? So you have to worry about vision loss, kidney disease, neurological problems there. And so you talked to your physician. What did he say?
Was that,
was he amazed to?
Yeah. I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, and diabetes. I've kicked all of the medications, but the high blood pressure. I was taking two blood pressure medications. I'm only taking one, but now only as needed. Before I was taking 2 every day. Every day. So it's funny, my doctor, he's a character. I've known him 40 years. He says...
So he was your physician for 40 years,
yeah,
right?
We're 40 plus years now.
He took very good care of you, did he?
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, he told me, and me and him, you see, we're like boys. I don't bite my tongue. When it comes to my health now, I don't bite my tongue. You gotta be proactive. You gotta be proactive. So I came and I said, wait a minute, Doc. And he had the nerve enough to tell me his wife was a dietitian. I said, then how did I have to find out from a CHIP program that I could have done all of the work that I've done just by diet, nutrition, exercise, and weight loss? Why didn't you tell me that when you were selling me the medication, which to date has cost me over $40,000 in the 40 years that I've known you, that I paid for medication? I said, so it seems like I wasn't your concern, you were. It's my opinion that, and I told him straight to his face, I said, it seemed like you were more concerned about your situation than mine. No, I mean, you're more concerned about your lifestyle than my lifestyle. But I was angry. Matter of fact, I didn't go back for about 8, 9, 10 months. I didn't go back to see him. And so, anyway, I didn't mean to get off track, but you gotta take it seriously. Like I said, now I live with 10 other people. I house with 10 other people. And I am the only one that has dedicated himself to this program. So it's difficult when you walk in the house and they're eating Popeyes and Colonel sandwiches and Pollo Loco and everything. But then it dawned on me. I didn't focus on the sacrifice. I focused on the reward. Amen. You feel me? And what I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, church, is that it's like the scriptures. If the program works, if you faithfully dedicate yourself to the program. Yeah, the guidebook is there. It's worked for me, and I'm a nobody. I'm not a professional speaker, as you can possibly tell. You know, and I'm not getting compensated for my testimony. You feeling me? Anyway, that's my story. I'm old school. Capital O-L, accent marks, capital S-K-O-O-L.
Before you sit down, thank you for driving all the way up here.
There was no way I could turn my back on such a beautiful crowd. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I don't speak professionally. I'm like Paul, like when he was on that Damascus road. Me? You want me to do this? It's not who I am. It's not what I'm about. But
you are a very effective teacher and speaker. Thank you so much. And I want you to meet one of your friends who's here to hear you. You can sit, and I'll bring her up. Please meet one of Old School's friends. He didn't know that she would be here today. This lady is a heavy, just in case you didn't notice. About some time ago, you were heavier than right now.
413 pounds.
413 pounds. 413 pounds. What are you now?
320 now.
And you are on your way to moving towards, what's your ideal weight that you're shooting for?
Well, I want to go to about 133 to 140 would be good.
This is a lady that sets long-term goals, 1 to 2 pounds a week, right?
Yes, I'm working it. I even walked this morning. Yeah.
She's in a very good, rigorous, daily, consistent exercise program. You used to be a black belt karate, didn't you?
I'm a 5th-degree black belt. I used to travel around the world. I gave up. I was an athlete, believe it or not, and when I was 38 years old, I gave up everything, and then that's when the balloon came. It blew me up. Stopped working out.
So she began to recognize that she couldn't stop things, and then she found a way to get around it. Tell us a little bit about your health condition before you made the turnaround, before the Damascus experience that you talked about.
Well, I wore glasses for 44 years, over 44 years, because I couldn't see at night. I'm a diabetic, heart problem. I had a whole list of 3 pages of medication I was on. I couldn't see at night, so God gave me 2 big Christmas presents last December before Christmas. I don't have to wear my glasses anymore because I got my vision back. 2020, no more glasses at night. And I was checked out by my eye doctor. I was checked out in September and December. She had to recheck me. She said those glasses are no good. I had neuropathy in my feet. I was in the SHIP program end of May. My diabetic doctor checked me out in July. May, so June, July, just 2 months. He said, Phyllis, he checked my feet. He said, you got your nerves back in your feet. You don't have no more neuropathy. I said, wow, because I could tell when he was sticking whatever he had to stick in my feet. I was going to tell him. He said, oh yeah, you're right on it. And then what happened, I had a hearing problem. This is a big present from God. December of last year, I got my hearing back. I used to have to use a device to hear. At my house, I have a special phone, a disabled phone, and I have a disabled amp for my cell phone. I don't need that anymore. I hear very good, very clear, and I see very clear. This program works. I'm motivated, you know.
What are your physicians saying?
My doctors, I go to Cedars-Sinai. I live way in Eastville. I travel 60 miles one way. And Cedars-Sinai is supposed to be one of the top hospitals. They're at Oz. I got some cheerleaders that are doctors. They're looking at me. My neurologist's been a vegan for 7 years. He said, I'm so glad you are a vegan now. I said, oh yeah. He said, I see the improvement. He said, I'm glad I have somebody think just like me. My diabetic doctor, he's my cheerleader. He's in another world. He's on cloud 9 right now regarding my progress. And my primary, he said, she is very spiritual. She's a very spiritual woman. She's driven by the Spirit. I said, only God can help me. God, lead me into this program, and I'm going to sit. I'm not going anywhere. I got a long time. I'm going to be in this program over and over again. And when I lose all my weight, I will be back in the program at least once or twice a year, but I ain't going anywhere.
Tell us something about your professional background, your educational background.
Well, I'm a retired parole agent. I retired in 2009. I started law enforcement in 1978. I have a master's in social work, specialization in mental health. Plus, I was one of those law at-risk youth. When I say I was at-risk youth, my mother, biological mother, she couldn't deal with me. I ended up in the foster care system. And I didn't give up on the foster care system because I was put in different foster homes by my social worker. She would dump me anywhere, but I kept praying, and I got into the Jackman Girls Home. In 1974, I had to go to juvenile hall. Then my social worker said, you're not getting into no more foster homes. You either go home, you go to court from the streets. I said, no, I've been on the streets for a long time. I was on the streets for 28 days, going to school every day. I said, no, you might as well lock me up tonight, because if you don't, I'll be coming back really soon, and I'll need help. I got help. I got into the Jackman Girls Home, and then everything went uphill. I met my dream mom that I prayed about. I don't never give up. Never give up, don't care how it looks. Because they told me I have dyslexia. You know, I had problems. I was in special ed from elementary school all the way up until, from elementary until I got into junior high school. I was a lost cause because I was a mess. I'm not gonna lie, I was a mess. My biological mother couldn't take care of me. But I love my mom, my dream mother. My mother taught me how to love people, how to forgive people. Don't never judge nobody. She taught me something. Never too late to teach a kid that's out of control. I was worse than 15 baby kids in the classroom without their medication. Oh, another thing that I prayed about, I was suffering from mental health. I used to take psychotropic medication. I don't have to take psychotropic medication anymore. I prayed that medication off of me. I got off medication in 2009. But I was on it for my job. You know, when you're in law enforcement, you're a whistleblower. It comes with a big territory. But you're not going to run me off because I'm the Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Slayer. Folks, today she has a special foundation type program where she's actually helping young people in trouble. And she's enjoying what she's doing. Never before says, I want to be healthy. I want to be healthy because I want to be helping people because I have received help. Thank you so much for being with us today. On 25 medications a year ago, now on 3 medications, that's it. A new person. Why? Because she and old school came to the same program and made some decisions.
Yeah, I want to get back in that ring. I used to travel around the world in the national karate tournament. I don't have to travel around the world, but I can do it local. I want to get back in there and cooking for Jesus. I'm going to get my leg up. And I've been away from the ring a long time. It's not my age. It's what I do with my age.
Right. Very good. Thank you very much. So these are just 2 of my special people out of 110,000 graduates. And these folks, they come distances. They said, can we be of any service to you? Because we feel very, very grateful of what you have done, what we have learned, and the new life that we're living now. So I'm just very, very grateful for both of you making the special effort. These are not Adventist people, but these are Christian people who believe that the Lord led them to a program that helped them to discover that God is putting into our system a self-healing mechanism if we put the right raw materials into the system. The lifestyle drives it. So what I have done, there are some booklets back there. If some of you want to take a look at the used turn booklet, you need to have some for one of your friends. There are about 10 or 15 copies left there. Why don't you take a break and fight over those 15 booklets, and then come back in about 5 minutes, and we start our second part of the program, okay? Take a break, 5 minutes.
How are you, Pastor Ben? Been COVID for over a year now. A year and a half? Yeah. No, we switched over children's ministry. Yeah.
Left and will be here.
They're at home.
Consult sama university. Dia juga nggak ada ide. Padahal langsung nggak ada
I go check them if they're playing outside.
Malam dapat bagaimana nih? Ada 655 menit lagi.
Okay, can we start? Can we please come back to your seats? Hello? Would you please find your seats? We're ready when you are. I talked to you about the mayor of New York, an unlikely success story. Let me tell you another story here that goes back to my days in the Midwest. I had some 300 people in a CHIP program there, an education program, and I noticed that there was one man sitting way back there. He was sitting like this. You know what that means? I got the message. He didn't want to be there. So I thought to myself, I better win him over. And at break time, I make my way to his area there, and I didn't know his name. It was one of the first days of our 4-week program. And I said, "Sir, what brings you here to this program?" "My wife." Actually, that's not uncommon, because in our CHIP program, usually 2 out of 3 participants are women, and the 1 out of 3 that is a man usually was dragged by their wives. "You need to do this." "Yes, sir." So I knew I had a very tough situation with this man, and then a lady is coming closer towards him, and I thought to myself, this could be his wife. So I said to her, "Do you know this man?" "Yeah, he's my husband." I said, "I see." So I said, "What brings you here?" She said, "My husband." I mean, he had 9 heart attacks. He's a diabetic. He has high blood pressure problems. He's on many, many medications. I mean, he can even walk to his mailbox 120 feet away without having an angina attack. And he's on all kinds of medications. And she said he had 2 bypass surgeries at the Mayo Clinic, 7 years apart. And you understand now, don't you, that bypasses do not necessarily last forever. We mentioned to you that they are sometimes very short-lived. Sometimes 40% of these bypasses are no longer functioning within 18 months. Okay, so here's another case, 7 years apart, 2 bypass surgery at the famous Mayo Clinic, and he is having incessant anginal pain. It's so bad, she tells me, that we can't even sleep in the same bedroom anymore. He's in a different room because he has sleep apnea. You know, this kind of a thing. And it's just a very difficult situation. And, you know, he has diabetes for the last 5 years. He's 65 pounds overweight. He has high cholesterol. He already had his gallbladder gone. High blood pressure for 13 years on medication. Gouty arthritis, high triglycerides. And he is still smoking his pipe after 9 heart attacks and 2 bypass surgeries. Do I really want to have this man in my class?
Well, he needs to be there.
Do I really want to have his influence in that classroom there? And so I knew I had a tough situation at my hands. Then he's on many medications for blood thinning, he's a diabetic, on 67 units on insulin. He is taking medications for his high triglycerides. And it's just a walking drugstore. And so I knew that I had my work cut out with this man. She also told me, she said, he's unable to lie down at night because the angina is just killing him. And so we have sort of raised his head a little bit, lifted him so that it's not quite so painful, but it didn't last very long. And so he's no longer in the recliner either. And so he just walks day and night, just on his feet, because when he lies down, the angina is just destroying him. No relief. And so, then she said, he also is a pretty heavy meat eater. He loves his steaks. I mean, he can have a 2-pound roast at a session. And he loves exotic animals because he's a hunter. And so he goes to Canada and he hires some of these guides, and then he comes back home with these exotic animals. And she said, we have 5 freezers in the basement. They're all filled with exotic animals. And he loves these kind of foods. So I thought to myself, what can I do? And so I came the second day, and I walked at the break time towards his seat, and I said, no, I know his name. I said, Mr. Brenner, I understand you have been a clinic, a patient at the famous Mayo Clinic. Yes, sir, I'm a Mayo man. That put me into my place. I'm just from Loma, Linda, but this is Mayo Clinic, right? Yeah, this is the big boys. Yes, and he said, look, they told me that I had a situation that was genetically determined. There's nothing they could do for me anymore. I'm on all the best medications, I've seen all the specialists, and there's nothing they can do for me. I just have to learn to live with it. They said that I picked the wrong parents. Genetics, right? Now that was the idea that we had about 20 years ago. But about 10 years ago, all of these things changed because now we began to understand that there's something that overrides the influence of genetics. It's called epigenetics. It's just like you have a horse, but when you have a horseback rider, that rider will determine where the horse is going to go. And that's what nutrition does. Nutrition guides the genes to either express themselves or to shut down. So we can now override the genetics that a person has, but apparently that was not knowledge then, and it wasn't passed on from the physicians at the Mayo Clinic to this man. And so he felt, well, there's nothing I can do. I might as well live it up, right? What's the purpose? I enjoy my pipe, I might as well enjoy it. I enjoy my oils, I might as well enjoy it. Listen, you're from Loma, Linda. Listen, I'm from the Mayo Clinic. Do you hear me? Yes, sir. And I knew I was in trouble. You see, this is what we have learned in the last 10, 15 years. That yeah, the parents pass on the genes to the newborn, and you have good genes, healthy genes, and you have diseased genes. Now, the healthy genes can sometimes get damaged by smoking and radiation and so on, and they begin to become disease genes. Similarly, if you have disease genes that you were born with, the body usually begins to repair itself in most cases, so that these bad genes don't really affect you too much. Okay? So, the healthy genes then spell health, the disease genes spell disease. Well, what we have learned in the last 10 years is this, that genes don't determine your destiny. Changing lifestyle changes genes. You can change your lifestyle and that will affect the genes, how they express themselves. Comprehensive lifestyle changes cause beneficial changes in the expressions of many genes in just a few months. You can turn bad genes into good genes depending on the lifestyle that you choose to live. Here's Dr. Colin Campbell from the China study, his best-selling book. He said the expression of the gene is controlled by nutrition. If you have bad genes that are really calling out cancer to develop in your body, you can change these genes, you can suppress these genes. These genes, the expression is controlled by nutrition. Even when genetically predisposed, nutrition trumps genes. Shall I say it again? Nutrition trumps, overrides, maybe that's a better word. You got that one, didn't you? Okay, so nutrition overrides genes. Genes may load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. So if you're born in a situation like old school, right? With prostate cancer genes, right? Well, you can override them because it's a lifestyle that actually pulls the trigger. And you can reverse it or you can prevent it. So, let's take a look. See what happens? This is a new concept now. This is epigenetics, where you have your healthy genes and you have your bad genes. But please note, the disease genes can be suppressed through nutritional interception so that you no longer have to worry about the disease. You can stop the disease process. You can prevent the genes from expressing themselves in a negative way. That's good news. So that was my second encounter with this gentleman there. And it was very obvious that I needed some help. So I called up a psychologist. I said, what do you do with a person that doesn't want to be there? He's there because of his wife. What do you do? And fortunately, I had a very competent psychologist, happens to be my daughter, who got all the good genes from my wife. And I said, Carmen, tell me, what do I do with a person like this? She said, Dad, there's not much you can really do. The only thing you can do is you can just befriend him as best as you can and just ask him, next time when you meet with him, ask him, what are some of your long-term goals? Are there some special goals that you have on your list? And do you think if you could be healthier or you could develop a better health level, that you could reach those goals with greater certainty? And then just let him talk. Be very specific. Don't interrupt him. Let him talk. Just let him be very specific. Ask him what his goals are. What does he want to accomplish in the next 5 years? And then just listen and listen and listen. Got the message. Next time I saw him. And of course my question was, can I really reach this man? Can I do something to help him? And so I began to have my third encounter. I kind of dreaded it. I mean, I didn't really want to see him, but then I felt I have a commitment to this man. And so at break time, I walked over to him and I said, and the moment he saw me, he was already, why is this guy coming to me again? So he said, why are you coming to see me? You're always picking on me. Well, what's wrong with me? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to change my lifestyle? Are you trying to change my habits? Are you trying to change my eating? Sir, no way. I'm a German and you cannot change a German. I said, I understand these people very well, don't worry. He said, I cannot change because the Mayo Clinic told me it's my genetics. I picked the wrong parents. Do you hear me? He was very adamant that he was on the right track because he had the information from the Mayo Clinic. Who is this man? Loma Linda. Ever heard of Loma Linda? Well, in those days, he was a Mayo man. And so I made one more effort, and I walked over to him and I said, sir, tell me, what are some of your bucket list ideas that you still have? What are some of the goals that you still have? And he said, you know, I'm a hunter. I hunt exotic animals, and I want to do that a little bit more. But also, I am a fisherman, and one of my goals is to get them big ones. I said, really? And then I said, what are you planning to do? He said, I'm going to get them big ones, those 80-pounders. And in my mind, I think the man is crazy, because when you have angina pain, just having a minnow on the hook, you get, the excitement is killing you. You have an angina attack. So, you know, and I said, so 80-pounder, and when are you going to do this? He said, in 6 months. I said, where are you going to do it? In Costa Rica. Oh, in Central America. Yes, sir. I said, you're really serious that you're going to do this? You bet. I sent you the pictures. I looked him into the eyes and I said, sir, Mr. Brenner, you ain't going to Costa Rica in 6 months. You ain't going to get them big ones, those 80-pounders. Sir, you are a sick man. He looked into my eyes, and you know, his eyes turned icy, gray, cold. I mean, I could see the defiance in his eyes. And he said to me, you want to bet? And I knew that my best next step would be to get to the exit door as quickly as I could, because this man was dangerous. He was really on the way to let me know that he was in charge. Well, the program finished. I never saw him again. The blood test came out 4 or 5 weeks later when the program ended. And I have to tell you, I was kind of shocked when I got a phone call when I would go back to Michigan a month later for the alumni meeting. And somehow the word got out somehow that I was in town, and I got a phone call at the hotel, and it was Mrs. Brenner. And she said, Dr. Diehl, I'm so glad you're in town. You're speaking tomorrow night to the alumni. I said, yes, sir. And she said, can you please feature my husband tomorrow night? And I thought to myself, Brenner, that's the guy. No, I don't want this man, no. And I said, I'm very sorry, I really can't do it. The program is already all made up, and I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. You can always change, if you want to, right? But I didn't want to. So she said to me, sir, you know, you are an educator. She's trying to establish a common basis now, because I'm an educator too. I teach in a high school, and we're both educators. You know, you probably can give him a chance, can't you? He prepared, he practiced his speech. It's going to be an 8-minute speech. It's excellent. He has it on cue cards, and it's an excellent speech. You don't want to miss that in your program. It would be an inspiration to all the people there. But you know, she was talking with so much heart and feelings that she captured my heart to make the decision rather than my mind. And I fell into the trap. And I said yes. When I got off the phone, I knew I'd made a mistake, but it was too late. The next night, there's Mr. Brenner. He's the first one there. And he said, I'm glad you gave me a chance. I prepared a speech that's 7 minutes long, and you won't be sorry. I said, okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the program begins, and I introduce him as Mr. Brenner, who has finished our recent CHIP program, and I don't say too many nice things about him because I don't want to be seen as someone that was hooked into his ways, right? I didn't want to be seen as being part of his game. So I was very neutral and distant. I said, I have given him an opportunity to have a short presentation tonight. Okay. And I sat down. He took the mic and he said, ladies and gentlemen, I am Buzz Brenner. I was in the recent CHIP program. And I'm a changed man. He said, I just got the test results back from my 3 months follow-up, and here they are. And he told the people, my weight came down from 220 down to 206 in 3 months. My blood sugar on insulin here was 205, which is high, on insulin, went down to 131 without insulin, almost normal now. The cholesterol was 289 on medication, statin drugs, 128 without medication. Triglycerides 257, 49, perfect. Blood pressure was 122 over 78, 122 over 80, 180 over 64. They're all normal, but here he was on medication. 2, 3 medications, none here. And what happened to his pulse? 78 down to 56, which means he was exercising. Because when you exercise regularly, your heart rate goes down. Your resting pulse when you wake up in the morning is lower than before. And the slower your heart rate, the longer you live. You want to have a heart rate of a Mercedes diesel. You don't want to have a Fiat. It wears you out. Okay? And so he obviously was doing something right. And so I was amazed. And you know, he said to the people, the 4 most important letters in the alphabet are found in the last 4 letters of the word American. The last 4 letters of the word American. And he said, if I can, as a German, an exotic animal lover, food eater, you all can do it. And you know, the people all clapped for him. He finished in 7.5 minutes. I mean, it was just really, really outstanding. And of course, I got closer and closer to him because he was my friend, you see. Now he could brag about him, right? Oh. And so then he told the people, he said, my angina pain markedly decreased very quickly. I was able to level off my bed and remove my recliner from my bedroom. It no longer looks like a sick person's room. And he said to me, and the marriage is working out again. You got the idea? Ah. So I took him aside after he made his public speech there, and I said, Buzz, tell me, what really made you turn around? He said, I turned around because I have no respect for Loma Linda. I'm a Mayo man. And you see, I wanted to prove you wrong. And I was doing everything to excess of what you said we should do. You said that we should sleep 7 hours. I would sleep 9 hours. You said I should walk maybe 10, 15 minutes. And I would walk gradually 20, 30, 40 minutes. I would do everything in excess. You said eat more foods and, you know, I did everything that you said, but in extended manner. And that's why I think I made such a great progress. And he said, but I'm sorry to say that I was a loser because you won. Loma Linda won out against Mayo Clinic. I said, no, you are the winner because you are developing the health where you can now live a fairly normal life again with your wife and everything else. You are a great winner. Then he said to me, and he came back, he said, can I say a few words to the people there? I said, yeah, sure. So he said, one more thing I want to tell you. You know, over this program, where I really made some dramatic changes in my lifestyle, no more smoking, you know, no more animal products and so on. And he said, I have to tell you, I became the best friends with my neighbor's German Shepherd dog. He said, my 5 freezers in the basement are empty now. They're all gone. Of course, the German Shepherd dog has died of a heart attack since then. I mean, he was just an absolute wonderful guy. And so, then, you know, I said to him, what about this fishing trip? He said, you know, I still have 3 more months, right? I told you 6 months. This is only 3 months now. I'm going to be there. I'm going to send you some pictures. Yeah, sure. Well, here's what happened. He sent me this picture. There's nothing there, right? But then there's a second picture that I found that he sent to me. And people tell me it's probably a 70 to 80 pound fish that he caught in Costa Rica. I mean, I was stunned. How could a man catch a fish? So I called him up and I said, how long did you, first of all I asked him, I said, thank you for sending me the pictures. Who caught that fish? And he was really incensed now. He said, I did, I told you I would do it. Oh. And he said, I did this, I struggled for 4 hours with this fish to really catch him, reel him in. And he said, you owe me some appreciation and some kudos for what I have done. And he said, actually, it's all because of the program that you helped me to understand. The Mayo people just didn't know. They didn't quite know. And I thought it was all genetics. But I began to realize that I pulled the trigger of my lifestyle, of the genes. And so he said, I'm very, very grateful. So this was a story of a man that turned his life around and became a hero in the town of Kalamazoo in Michigan, because the word spread that this man, who was a walking invalid, that couldn't sleep at night anymore, that couldn't get to his mailbox 125 feet away without having some angina attacks, he became an outstanding poster boy for the CHIP program, so that I didn't have to do any marketing for the next program that I conducted at the big church, the big hospital there in Kalamazoo. So this is what happens. You know, like old school, or like Phyllis here. You know, these people become centers of influence. And they represent my motto, which is Ultra, U-L-T-R-A, Ultra. That stands for utterly loving through the health message. Right? No, that's not quite right. Ultimate loving through right arm. Does that make sense? You know what the right arm is? The right arm of the gospel of Jesus is the health message. Jesus was number 1, a healer. Number 2, a preacher and a teacher. Jesus foremost was a healer. The book reports if all the stories about whom he healed could be written up, it would take a whole library to fill the pages. So ultra means ultimately loving, the right arm. And that's what I want you to begin to put into your mind. The best way to be a center of influence is to be a role model and live the lifestyle, and don't go around telling people you're eating the wrong food, you shouldn't be smoking, you shouldn't eat those candies, you shouldn't eat the M&Ms. No, that's not what we do. You're disqualified to claiming that you have come to my seminar when you do those kind of things. I will not accept you as my
Student.
participant. We are the kindest, the most loving people. Are you with me there? Like old school. He's not telling these 10 people in his family every day what they're doing is wrong and they're killing themselves. No, he's just doing his thing nicely, lovingly, gently, but being firm in his commitment without becoming a fanatic. Are you with me there? That's what I want you to be here. So let me give you some clips here, and then we're ready for going home. From pills to peace, the chip U-turn. I want to take you this time to Fiji. I was in the Fiji Islands. We had some large groups of people there. The Fiji Islands used to have very, very healthy people there. And then the Western foods came in, and you cannot find any of the original Fijian foods that used to feed the people. So now it's all food that can stay on the shelves for 10 years without spoiling, and that's what they sell there, okay? And here's what happened. From bank auditor to walking health poster. I want to tell you the story about Mr. Tuina Moala, an internal auditor of a big bank there in the South Pacific. He came into our program and he said, I need some help. Let's see. Let's take a look. Oh.
Yeah, sudah.
He's describing his 11 months turnaround. Take a look.
Life is very important. I don't want to just to put it to waste. We have a purpose here on this earth, and for me is the task I've been given is I've been given responsibilities in terms of my family. My name is Diehl. I'm originally from the Lao group, from the island of Matuku, but I live in Lautoka, but that's where I was born, and I now live in Lami. Married to, and we have a daughter called Esther. I've been diagnosed with high cholesterol. I've also got a health issue in terms of sleep apnea. And I think it all deals with the diabetes as well, because I think I've got early signs of diabetes, and I've seen the symptoms in me in terms of going to the toilet more frequent, also having problems with eyesight and just being tired. I knew what I had wanted. I was looking forward to a program, but I also had my doubts because I've tried a few options, different diet programs. So going to this program at the first session, it just met what exactly I wanted. I started to see the benefit just from the start of the program, which is just the first week. I started to enjoy life much better. My sleeping, I have very good sleeps. I wake up, I feel more energized. By just going into plant-based diets and cutting down on a lot of the meats and doing more exercises. It was painful at the beginning, but if you want something, then you have to really work hard at it. And I'm glad that I've gone through that phase. It doesn't look that difficult. Walking the 10,000 steps in the beginning, I was kind of trying to work out how to get up the 10,000 steps. That I have to do on a daily basis. After my first 3-4 sessions, I'm going over and above that, and so I'm kind of enjoying it now.
Is that the impression that you get? That's what these people have done. And here's what you see. I showed this in a medical convention in England, so this is in English units. Total cholesterol was 160 with medication there, times 40, and now it's 2.8, that's 56, that's 112, and off the drugs. Is 112 cholesterol a good number? What are we shooting for in our program? Less than 150, 160, right? So he's at 112 in just 4 weeks. And no medication. The same thing is true for the LDL. This was here 120 on medication. Now it's down to 40 without medication. Triglycerides are normal. Blood sugars. This is here, he's a diabetic. He has high numbers, high blood sugar levels. And then here, this is normal now, and on no medication whatsoever. His weight has gone down. This is in kilograms. This is about 300 pounds he was when you saw him in the film there. Now he's down to 200 pounds in just so many months. And also, please take a look at his systolic blood pressure, 151 on medication, 127 off medication, normal. Systolic blood pressure, 91 on medication, 75 normal off medications. And the pulse has gone down from 82 down to 52. Are you seeing some consistent changes? Yeah.
The two largest employees in Lee County, the school board and the Lee Memorial Health System, say they found a way to save you, the taxpayer, money. And they're doing it one fork at a time. They say they found a lifestyle program that is taking a bite out of the high cost of health care and at the same time making you feel better. And to quote executives, the results are simply amazing.
And a lot of people are noticing that I just look and feel better, so that's all positive.
Brian Ebers, a department director for the Lee County school system, lives with MS. Until a few weeks ago, he couldn't walk without a cane, but he doesn't need it anymore.
I feel better, and so I've decided that I'm going to leave that behind for a while and see how it goes.
That's because Brian is a student of CHIP, the Complete Health Improvement Program. It's where people are taught to eat meals that are plant-based, and Brian says it's a program that works.
The only reason I do this is because it gives me an opportunity to give people hope. People don't have hope anymore. They've tried and failed.
Kathy Raynard is a CHIP instructor. She explains why the more emphasis you put on vegetables, beans, and grains, and the less on meat and dairy, the better you'll feel. You can reverse chronic diseases like hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes.
You can choose to eat what you want, but the education kind of helps people see that what they've been doing potentially is the reason for their chronic disease, and they have the ability to change that.
So people like Brian aren't just walking and feeling better, they're spending less money on health care. Human Resource Director Angela Pruitt says that's saving the school system a lot of money.
4% of our employees result in 47% of our health care costs.
So along with the school district, Lee Memorial Health System put the CHIP program to the test. What they discovered was a remarkable turnaround with the health of their employees. After 12 months, for every dollar LMHS spent on helping employees live a plant-strong diet, they saved $2 in healthcare costs, with some added benefits.
One of the things that they've told us is that their energy level had increased dramatically. So we know that from that perspective, they take less time off from work. They are more productive on the job.
The two largest employers in Lee County say you can't argue with success like Brian, and they want to give all their employees the opportunity to be healthy by choice, not by chance.
We have the ability to help you reverse your chronic disease if you follow the principles we teach.
All right, now administrators say the CHIP graduates look so great and have lost so much weight, there's now a waiting list to get on the program. If you're interested in learning more about CHIP, just go to fox4now.com and click on this story.
Is the so-called good life killing you? Could the fast food and inactivity of your typical day be the key reason for your poor health today? 70% of all deaths are now attributed to lifestyle choices. And thanks to obesity-related health issues, this will be the first generation to live shorter lives than their parents. We all know the solution: move more and eat better. But we also know the power of bad habits. How do you change an entire lifetime of unhealthy choices? You can't do it alone, but there is help.
Well, I was about 50, a little over 50, and I had been obese for about 30 years and weighed about 80 pounds over my wedding day weight. I just, felt tired all the time, didn't have a lot of motivation for doing much of anything. I knew I needed to lose the weight, and I needed a program that I could do easily and for the rest of my life. When I found out about CHIP, I began to apply the principles that were taught. I began to lose weight. The weight just melted off, and within a short time, I was feeling a whole lot better. I was able to fit back into my wedding dress for my 35th wedding anniversary, something I had always dreamed of and didn't think I'd ever be able to do again. And as I was walking one day, I had so much energy that I just felt like bursting into a run, which I hadn't done for many years. On top of that, I was able to play with my grandson in the park, and I wasn't getting sick anymore like I used to. CHIP just gave me my life back, and it's a lifestyle that I can do for the rest of my life.
Did you know that lifestyle diseases aren't just preventable, but also largely reversible? The Complete Health Improvement Program, CHIP for short, is the preeminent community lifestyle intervention education program where participants start to see a dramatic difference in their biometrics after 30 days into their 3-month-long program. Clogged arteries begin to open up, blood pressures come down, diabetes turns around, people eat more but they lose weight, and high cholesterol levels drop often more than 20%. CHIP is all about choices. Safe, simple, deliberate lifestyle choices. CHIP gives you the education, motivation, and support structure needed to make smarter choices. Over 50,000 CHIP graduates are living proof that CHIP works.
In fact, to date, CHIP has over 20 published papers in peer-reviewed academic journals in the medical and scientific literature. And we believe that that makes it one of the most well-published community-based lifestyle interventions in the world. In fact, just recently, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine presented these results and discussed this paper on their website. And this is what they said. This study demonstrates clinical results of a large, we're talking 5,070, free-living cohort in North America, yielding some of the most impressive recorded clinical changes ever in the literature.
CHIP can help you get the healthy life you've dreamed of, kick the old habits of the so-called good life, and help you step confidently into the best life.
An osteopathic physician is trying to change our community's health and wean them off prescription drugs. Well, I talked with this physician and found out how. Charles Ross has spent years treating patients with various diseases, and he went on a mission about 3 years ago to reverse those ailments. The success of his program, he says, is a plant-based diet.
I was going to have cataract surgery in this eye, as I was told by 2 different doctors. Now I can see out of it just darn near normally. Before going on this food plan, Bryant said he had a heart attack and bypass surgery. He says he's now off prescription medication.
It's treating not only what you eat, how you exercise, how you manage stress, but also how you connect with the community.
We know that diet matters tremendously to human health. Diets that increase the amount of vegetable, Mediterranean diet, for instance, show improvements in health across the board.
Ross says he teaches the National Complete Health Improvement Program because he wants to help people in Douglas County. Reporting in Roseburg, I'm Kristen Goodwillie.
Hi, mabuhay! I'm Dr. Linda Lim Barona, and I am a facilitator for the CHIP here at Philippine Publishing House. We have our regular sessions 3 days a week, and then we have our physical fitness, we have cooking demos, and after this CHIP program, we have shared the CHIP principle to our community. We have been having our Sunday fitness program, and the people from the community comes to give them health tips, not only about health but about cooking and lifestyle changes. There are around 600 people from the community that are participating, from the young to the old, ladies and gentlemen, and they are enjoying this exercise. The one leading our physical fitness is Alan, who had a heart attack 5 years ago, and he participated in CHIP. And now he's leading the exercises because he used to be a diabetic. He had a stent, but now everything, he has no more medicine.
Hi, mabuhay. I'm Alan. 6 years ago, I was a diabetic patient. I had a heart attack. I was suffering from hemolytic anemia. I had 4 months of consecutive blood transfusion, 4 bags every month. And I heard about CHIP. So I joined CHIP. I was taking 172 units of insulin a day, and after the 1-month program of CHIP, it went down to 25 units after a month. Then after 3 or 4 months, it's 0. Then now after 6 years of practicing the CHIP principles that I have learned from them, I'm now leading 6 days a week physical fitness program, just to share what I have learned from CHIP. Every Sunday morning during our physical fitness program, we have now 600 people participating and attending to us regularly. Energetic and healthy people joining us every day, from children up to adults. Especially men, coming from my heart, I owe it from CHIP. I love CHIP, I'm endorsing CHIP, and thank you very much, CHIP program.
You know, I spent my first 20 years of my life in Germany, but my heart belongs to a Filipina. And she has been standing by my side all through these years as I was traveling to many, many different continents. And I'm very, very grateful that we could be a team in making a difference in the lives of people. And of course, one of my greatest joys has been to be in the country of my wife's birth and to see the spread of the CHIP program on different islands in the Philippines, different hospitals there. And it has given me great satisfaction. But not only this, but I mean this whole idea that I can look in the mirror in the morning and I feel good about myself, that God somehow was able to use a fellow that had to learn the English language and somehow use this person somehow to develop a lifestyle medicine revolution. Today, lifestyle medicine has become the fastest growing medical specialty in America, and is now in 42 countries, where people are being taught how to go beyond the best that medical technology can offer, and to begin to find ways to teach people the concepts of good health, and to do it ideally in groups, because there's a magic when you help people in groups and they can help each other, right? So I am just very, very excited to be with you and to see you taking this thing seriously, and we'll see you before too long again. I turn it over to our project director, Dr. Shirley Tan, and her husband, Dr. Inyo.
Let's give a big hand for Dr. Thank you very much. And for all the people who spontaneously witnessed for this program. All right. Oh, well, by the way, Lily and Hans, and it has been a real privilege to really be your friend. And I know that every time when any of you comes to see us, really, I notice that you always bring a gift. Anything, a book, a bag of ginger, a bag of oranges, a loaf of bread. Oh, no, thank you very much. So this is husbands and wives. February is Valentine's month. So do that to your husbands and do that to your wife. It's something very special. And I think you just have to keep doing that for you to have that habit. And I know that you don't only do all those nice things to me, I'm sure you do for everybody. And we really appreciate your friendship. All right, now, I still have this folder. Any of you lost the folder here? There's no name, but there's one page of very nicely written note. So please claim it. And then I still have a few envelopes at the back. So if you haven't picked up those envelopes, please go to claim. All right. Tomorrow is a fun day. We're going to meet here also at 3 o'clock. All right, this is a fun day because we're going to have some medical experts to answer some of the questions. Remember that this is the third required lesson of this series. And then I'm sure some of you still have some questions. So I'm going to ask Daniel and Ivan to distribute this. Just raise your hand if you have any question, but the thing is you have to write your question today and give them to me, all right? And then, well, just give them to either Ivan or Daniel, and then tomorrow we have some experts. Here's one. We have some experts to answer your questions. That's number one. Number two, we're going to have a cooking demo, and then hopefully we're going to have delicious samples for you to taste. Very easy, but very nutritious dish. And it's going to be a soup, a vegetable soup that I like. I personally like it. All right. I think, well, thank you very much for coming. And those of you with the cards, please write your questions now. And so we can have all the questions by tonight. So tomorrow we can discuss it in the panel. And then the rest of you have a safe trip home. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Oh, dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the beautiful Sabbath. Thank you for being so good to us. Thank you for having Dr. Diehl to be with us and Dr. Lily Pandey with us too. We love them so much. Please bless them and bless every one of us. And that when we drive home, that we can be safe, and bless our families too. Thank you for hearing our prayer. Thank you for loving us. For we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Have a good night.